Have you ever gone in to fry an egg and well, this happens? And by the end, your egg looks something like this? Keep watching because by the end of this video, you will learn how to fry an egg in not just one way but four. We will also evaluate all of these four approaches across 3 dimensions: taste, texture, and ease of execution. Once done with all the approaches, I will let you know my favorite daily driver at the end as well. I'll also provide a little hack at the end to give you better control of the entire egg making process from the very beginning. Let's dive right into it. There are really 3 parts to getting an egg fried right. Number 1, you crack the egg safely without breaking the yolk. Number 2, you get the egg up to the right temperature on some cooking surface that ideally is non-stick. And number 3, you get the egg off onto a plate without destroying all of the progress that you've made so far. Now, to crack an egg, I recommend gently tapping an egg on a flat, hard surface till we're able to get a controlled crack. Ideally, we'll be able to peel through the membrane with this crack as well, which will allow the egg to come out nicely. However, if the membrane does not rupture, I recommend you try to gently pry it open with your fingers like so. Once you've managed to peel the membrane, I recommend you keep the cracked side of the egg facing upwards for complete control as you break the egg open into the pan. Starting with the float method, we use a medium-low flame and let the pan get hot for about 90 seconds. Then we go in with the butter. About half a tablespoon works quite well unless you have a much larger pan. You basically want to coat the bottom of the pan completely and perhaps also have a little bit extra. Then we crack the egg into the pan and we let the egg whites get nice and settled without overcooking the yolk. This will typically take about 2 to 3 minutes. Quite often, this will give us the consistency that we want, but we can also often end up with an egg where the top part of the egg white is not settled, and that's something that a lot of people don't really enjoy. This is something that the methods that come afterwards address, but I still think there's a lot of value in learning the simple float method, especially if you're new to cooking an egg or if this is your first time frying an egg. Okay, so now that we're about 2.5 minutes in and the egg seems done, it's time to slide it off onto a plate. You can lift the egg out with the spatula as well, but I mostly bring the plate near the pan and just slide the egg out. It does the job quite well. Let's crack on a bit of salt and pepper and time to taste. I'll give that a solid 3.5 on taste, probably 3.5 on texture as well, but I think ease of execution definitely gets a 5. On to method number 2, the flip. Once again, we use a medium-low flame. The egg goes in, and now we wait for a couple of minutes till the egg whites at the bottom are a bit settled so that we are able to flip the egg over. I'll link a video in the description below on how you can think about flipping the egg. Now the flip does 2 things. 1, it cooks the egg a little bit faster while also ensuring that the top is also properly cooked. And 2, it coats the egg in a layer of slightly browned butter, which makes it absolutely delicious. Okay, time to taste. Okay, this is fantastic. I think taste and texture are both an absolute 5. The egg is warm, it's coated in butter, the yolk is still silky, everything is perfectly set. I think if you nail this right, this almost always yields the perfect egg. However, as far as ease of execution goes, I'll probably give this method a 2. I don't think it's easy to execute every single time, especially if you're just beginning. On to method 3, the steam. This is probably my most favorite method for any given day to reliably get an egg that's both perfectly cooked and does not require much maneuvering while cooking. As a bonus, I think this method also allows you to use a slightly higher flame, which enables a shorter cook time. Okay, in we go with the egg. We let it settle for about 30 seconds to a minute. At this point, we fill up a teaspoon with water and have a lid of some sort right next to us so that the moment we put in the water, we're able to cover it shut with the lid to trap all of that steam that will quickly cook the egg. Please don't use more than a teaspoon of water, and please try to avoid using this method if there is a lot of hot oil that you've used to fry your egg. that can cause splatters, which are not good for anyone. In this method, you can even just use the lid without adding any water, but that sometimes yields erratic results. I still think the average result is typically better than that of method 1, but adding a bit of water definitely helps ensure that the egg is cooked perfectly. Okay, so time to taste. I think the taste and texture are probably both a 4, 4.5. And ease of execution at the same time is also a 4. Now I think method 2 still has an advantage that the entire egg is basted in a bit of butter, so that adds an extra touch of luxury. But overall, I think this is a fantastic return on effort. And we finally get to method 4, which is butter basting. This is for the days when you want to treat yourself. Do note that you'll probably end up having way more calories than you should be having for just a single fried egg when using this method. But hey, on a lot of days, it's absolutely worth it. Alright, one final time, egg in, let it heat up a bit, and in we go with a little bit of butter, or a lot of butter. But seriously, I'd probably recommend a bit less. Probably this much that I had used on a separate occasion. Then we pool all of that butter into a corner, and then we keep on basting and baste until the egg reaches the desired consistency. Now ideally for this method, I would plate the egg with a spatula so that we can get rid of some of the butter from the egg. But hey, you live and you learn, and to be honest, you may not want to remove all of that, but it does absolutely taste delicious. Okay, overall score, I think taste is definitely a 5. Texture, probably a 4.5. The top does get cooked nicely, and the brown butter is, encompassing the entire egg. So definitely texture is also a 4.5. And as far as ease of execution goes, I think that's also a 4. It's not very hard to execute. And now it's time to reveal my daily driver. Steam. You get a well-settled egg that is delicious, warm, and silky. It's not much more higher effort than the float. It tastes almost as good as the flip, and it has lower calories compared to the baste. I would also love to hear from you guys in the comments which method you are most excited to try. And now for the promised trick to avoid disappointment every time you go in to fry an egg. Crack your egg into a bowl before dropping it into the pan. Not only will you not have to worry about a flaming hot pan beneath you, but if the egg yolk still ends up breaking, you can proactively decide whether this is going to be a fried eggs or a scrambled eggs kind of day. If you found this video useful, please consider subscribing for more upcoming content.